Hello everyone and welcome back to today's video. Today I will be taking a look at a game that I played against Eren Yeager recently. This was a pretty good game. I really put a lot of effort into this. He really wanted me to take it very seriously and give it just my complete full attention. And he didn't even want me to record in real time because he didn't want me to distract myself. So I decided to oblige him, and yeah. So a little about the setup. It's nothing really that special. We have third row Marshall, which I like to play sometimes. Majors back here so that they won't be targeted all that much. The spy here just to provide some protection in case there's a marshal on this side of the board for this kernel. Yeah, pretty standard piece placement. Besides that, I like captains up in the front, some miners in the back. Yeah, so let's get into it. So opens like this. This is just really unfortunate. That he starts with a captain right there. And the thing is, if I cover the general up, then what happens is it's obviously a power piece, and that's bad. So my best bet is to just leave it open and hope that maybe he'll just dismiss it as nothing, and then maybe I can pick up a major or a kernel later in the game. So we keep playing and scout there, and then we pick up a scout there, and then he scouts the general. So that's unfortunate. But I move up here. Then I immediately call this as a lieutenant. Um, it's the obvious call. Okay, so he hits my captain here, and I'm thinking I've already gotten the one piece. If I can just get two pieces for this captain, then it'll be a 4-on-1, and I'm pretty happy with that opening. The opening is mainly about quantity rather than quality, so I'm fully willing to give this captain away. So I take here and I find that major, so that's fine. Then I scout and I find a minor. Yeah, so moving on, goes like this. And I find the kernel. So now we've got a decent amount of info. I'm feeling happy about the compensation I've gotten for losing this captain because I know these three pieces, and he just knows my general and my lieutenant, and I have one additional piece. So continues like this. I feel like I think I call this one as a captain. Go like this. Then we take sergeant, so that's good. Okay, and then we get a captain back here. So my call on captain was correct. I decided to sit here because I had already seen a colonel, so I didn't think that he would come with another one so quickly. So that was pretty good. I really just restored my entire position. I now feel pretty good up these three pieces. I've shown a decent amount of information, but I think I'll be fine. So yeah, we keep playing. I'd like to trade off the major now. We'll see what happens. And he scouts that. And then he hits here. So now my entire thought process is I'm up these four pieces, including the scout, so it would be five. If he moves here, I'm just going to move here and auto take because I don't really want to move back and allow him to take me for free. I just want to get another piece for this captain. So moves back with the major. I decide to retreat. This is a piece I've eyeballed as a decent piece for a little bit. Yeah. So I scout there. My thought process is if it's a good piece, if it's the marshal, then he moves up and I take here and I find probably a lieutenant. So lieutenant and marshal info for sergeant and for sergeant and a scout. And if it's like the general, then that's also pretty good. If it's like a major, then he can't really move up. And Yeah, so that was the thought process behind that. And if it's like a lieutenant and he moves up, then that's probably worst case scenario because I can either take like this, or I can just be arrogant and decide that I don't believe this to be the marshal, even though I hate making those types of calls. So we do this. Shoot. He moves there. I'm pretty confident in this being a lieutenant. And then we find this major. So I was pretty confident that this was a lieutenant. I don't really want to base. Even if I decide I want to take this risk, which it's a pretty low risk, I don't think this is the marshal. Um, but if I move here and then he moves, if he moves here back, he can move this piece up. And the thing is, I'm just not willing to tolerate any risks. Even to take this major. Like if he moves, I move up, he moves back, he moves back again. I'm not even gonna take here. So if I threaten, really best case scenario is I don't die because there's nothing that I would be willing to take. So with that being said, move back, pretty confident this lieutenant, and then so basically yeah, so these are both known, and the colonel's now in hailing distance here. So this was probably one of my few missteps during this game. He was, I should have anticipated this colonel coming to the center, and my pieces were just too bunched up. So he does this, and then he takes with the captain. In retrospect, it would have been better to just, it might have been better to just immediately take, but I really wanted to get left. Um, so I did that. Takes, takes lieutenant, so that's pretty good. And then he doesn't take me. So I decide to take, and it's a colonel, so I don't really understand this play. So I guess in retrospect, it looks like he just really wanted to two square this piece, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it is what it is. So he comes in two squares, takes this risk for the marshal, and also this risk. This could have been the marshal. And then he takes here, so he risks this being the marshal as well. And then he scouts that, move this up. So he risks this piece being the marshal too. Moves there, there. Yeah. So now I've got a decent amount of info, and that was a pretty senseless risk, and now he has a pretty decent idea on a bunch of pieces that can't be my marshal. So I take there, um, move there, and then he just instantly trades. So that was also a highly plausible marshal location, which means that he's completely sold that the marshal isn't in this row. For some reason, I don't really know why. But does this, and then my thought process with leaving this here is if I go right, I feel like I make it painfully obvious that this is the marshal. If I just sit the captain here, and I'm really worried about him going berserk with this lieutenant because I don't really have enough compensation to survive him just going on a rampage. So my the full thought process is really based on the fact that he didn't take here the first time. So I'm thinking that since he didn't take here the first time, he thinks that this is there's a decent chance this is the marshal, so he won't take the second time. And of course, he does take the second time, so that's really annoying. And then he just runs back. He's also yeah. Oh, also the thought process here was he might actually call this bluff, but then I got the colonel, and I was willing to get. I thought it would do pretty well in that end game, so I was fine with that. So yeah, this is my call on the lieutenant over here. Yeah, threatens me like that. Then he wants to trade. I don't really want to trade because yeah, and I remember this is a minor, so I correctly do this and I take. That was a good moment. Um, yeah, and then I scout and I trade off last scout, so that's good. Reason I was interested in that piece was because it was behind where you had the major for a while. It was what piece started here? I'm trying to remember. 282. Oh yeah, that was a scout. That was a scout. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Yeah, so a scout there. Then this is still my call on lieutenant. And then this piece isn't. And also, watch this. This is very interesting. Be it, I wasn't really paying attention here, so I mixed up these two pieces, and this will become. This is the piece I've been calling as lieutenant, but I thought it was this one. That was a mix up that became very important later in the game. Um, so comes with this piece. It's from the back row. I don't think it's anything good. I come with my bluff Marshall. Though he's gonna have a field day if he decides that the Marshall isn't here. So I'm a bit wary of that. Does this. And then he just arbitrarily decides this isn't the Marshall. So he could have run in and gotten a lot more if he'd done it earlier, but for some reason he decided that this moment that he was going to take there. So effectively, he's decided that the entire top two rows aren't the Marshall for no reason, and he's also decided that this one isn't the Marshall, especially in this position, given the fact that I have this information and these no scouts. I'm doing very well if I pick up a kernel here. So that was not a move that I considered to be good at all. But he played it nonetheless. So he does this, and I know immediately that I have to get over with the kernel. Um, but he decides to run up with the captain, and I guess he didn't think this could be a major or a kernel. I've I haven't shown three different kernel or majors, so doesn't really make any sense. That decision, that was a known captain. Maybe he forgot I knew it. So he does this. I'm thinking this is a power piece, perhaps the general, because he's been so adamant on the Marshall not being on this side of the board. I'm thinking this is the general and not the Marshall. So he does this. I decide to run away, go here, come out with this piece. Yeah, now I don't really want to trade this kernel. And then, of course, so here I'm thinking, the question is, do I scout it or do I move the lieutenant next to it? Because I'm thinking it's either something good like general, marshal, or it's a minor. Because he has no scouts. And you don't want to really threaten a marshal with like a lieutenant, with a colonel with a lieutenant. So that's my thought process. So I moved next to it, and it's of course the general. So that was just another instance of me getting unfortunate with it being one or the other, and it went the wrong way. So now I decide that I can completely discount this being a tripod, meaning that this would be his only remaining tripod if this moves. So I like firing these deep scouts, and I find this major, so that's really helpful. Now I know all three majors, so I'm feeling all right, despite the annoying guessing that. So he comes here, and now he comes. This is really an important part of the game. This is what I thought was the lieutenant. He moves here, and it's the marshal, of course. So I really, really paid for that memory error. It was my only real memory of the game. I played a perfect memory game, both with moved pieces and both with moved pieces and known pieces, and with my calls, just throughout everything. So I was very happy with how I played with my memory, except for that one moment. So he comes back. I decide to just park the spy in the center, just to apply some pressure, restrict his movement because he doesn't have any scouts. So now this is another one of those annoying moments in the game. I move here, and his colonel is. If I come out with the marshal, then he has enough time to get into position with this colonel, so I can't actually take it. So I decide to bring a bluff over, and I wonder if he just miscalculated because he could have saved the colonel, but I think he just didn't understand the position really. So instead it's another call because the thing is right here I'm up three sergeants. I have complete information on him. Um, I know these have all moved. Like I'm in a very, very good position if I get this kernel. So he really can't afford to lose it. And that's what I'm basing my calculations off of. And I'm thinking that he has those same calculations, but he doesn't. For some reason, he's tolerant with the idea of losing the kernel. And that's really unfortunate. So I'm down these three up the sergeants, up the scout. So I'm still doing all right. It's just I'm not completely winning in the fashion I would like to be. So he does this here. He effectively proposes a kernel trade. However, I know that this kernel is invaluable for getting a major back later in the game via traps. Especially if I trade this kernel, then the only piece that can take out majors that I have remaining is the marshal. So we can easily sack a major later to find the marshal, and then he's got a shot in this end game up these two. So I really decide that I can't afford to trade. So I decide to move away. Shit. Yeah, so I come here, and I'm hoping to get rid of my last dot and is on a closed flag. Maybe find a bomb, but of course it's a lieutenant. So worst case scenario yet again. Uh, that actually really annoyed me in real time. But it is what it is. So it moves the marshal over. And now it's pretty clear wants to trade generals, and there's nothing I can really do to stop it. Here I decide that I'm just going to take my lieutenant and run away. Now here, in this type of position, this is I know that I have a significantly higher elo. I know that I'm really focused, so I know I've been playing a very good memory game, and I think that if I just run away, then I feel like he's going to be anxious. And potentially do something stupid because now that I'm no longer down the lieutenant, I feel pretty happy with taking a major with my marshal. So I'm thinking there's a good chance he's gonna throw me a major, and if I do that, then it's a three. Then it's a 3 or 4 and 1 if you count the scout. And I know his flag is open. I have the scout that would be invaluable. I have all his information, so I'm feeling pretty good right now about not trading. But there are other factors that would be to consider. Like if this were a tournament game, I'd probably trade because I'd be running against the clock for a win. But here I don't have that consideration, so I feel very good about not trading. I keep doing that. Okay, what? Yeah, so I come with the spy. If he remembers, he moved the colonel next to the spy, so this can't be the marshal. But I don't think he remembers that. So it does this, and then I trap him here. He decides that he wants to run up against this with um, whatever this piece is, and yeah, so it ends up being a lieutenant. Oh yeah, oh yeah, right. This was the lieutenant I called from very early on, and I was fully conscious of this fact when I went and took with the major. So that's how an early call can really benefit you in the end game. Don't dismiss your calls just because they happened. A call can help you 600 moves later. So yeah, and now I'm a little more open to trading this major off. Yeah, so he does this, and my thought process here is since he moved in, he knows that I know his colonel and his marshal and his two majors, so there's no reason for me to not take here if this could be the marshal. But my thought process is he must know that I think this is he must know that this can't be the marshal because of what happened earlier in the game. So if I take, he moves in and he gets this piece, and then my marshal probably becomes painfully obvious. He can maybe come around and trap the sergeant, and like that, the game completely falls apart. So what I decide to do here is just go back, and then he does this, and then I hesitate a little bit. And then I decide to take because I want to sell this like I don't know what this piece is. Could be a major, could be a captain. And I'm questioning if I want to give him a chance to hit my tripod. Though, of course, that's not what the situation is. I want to sell it like that so that he doesn't think that this might be the marshal, even though I think he probably does. I'm selling this corner piece as the marshal, even though I don't really think he buys it. However, in this stage of the game, I'm not too concerned because I know that I have so much material on him in lower pieces that I can probably win this end game even if I don't get my second piece back. Yeah, so he does this. And this is fine. He's able to force a trade here, but I don't mind anymore. So now I'm playing pretty upfront with the spy. I have a pretty good reads on this setup. I'm the only one with a scout. I'm feeling pretty good. Gives me a minor here, and it's here. This was really the moment where I felt like he had just collapsed. Is I knew all his pieces. There was very little he could do after losing that minor. I really was able to feel that he needed to hold on to that minor. He needed to be even on the minors in order to have a chance to pull out this end game. But once I got that advantage, I didn't. This was when I was very, very confident that I was going to win the game. And so he comes out with this major. I'm thinking he's going to be a little more desperate now. Yeah, so he does this. I'm thinking he might think this is like a spy. Um, I think he's completely mixed up. I don't think he has any idea if this is Marshall or a spy. I don't think he remembers they moved next to it early on in the game. So I do this, move right, he hits, and the game, it's effectively all over but the crying for him at this point. I do this just so that maybe he won't come in. But I was thinking that he was going to move in between, call this as a spy, and get the sergeant, which wouldn't really matter because he just doesn't have enough material to win the game. But that's not. He did the worst possible thing here, and of course that instantly ends any shot. If it wasn't already over, he immediately goes into that bomb. He goes into that bomb. I was originally going to see if he remembered that his colonel moved next to this piece, but when he goes into that bomb, I feel like there's no real point in even doing that. So I decided to just play it straight and restrict his movement with the marshal. I know this is the spy. It's the only piece that makes any sense. I can just show the marshal immediately. I have absolutely no qualms with this, and this is a done game. But plays it on for a few minutes to asks me if I want to find his flag, and I do. So I decided to come with the spy. Wonder if he's being tricky with the first guess. So I guess that one. Second guess, I decide based on the fact that he effectively allowed me access over here during much of the game. I don't think the flag's over here. My second guess would, this doesn't make any sense. This would probably be my second guess, but it is in the center, so that didn't look very comfortable. This was wide open, so that really didn't seem like that plausible of a location either. So this seemed like my top guess, and it was right. So pretty good win. I feel happy with the way I played. It was really the reason I really went into this game was for preparation for my tournament on Saturday, and I feel pretty good about it. Like I'm going to play against some very good players like Henry Domerkant and Birkenclock, but I feel like I've got a good shot at winning the event. I'd be very happy to add another gold medal. Um, so yeah, just final thoughts on this game. It was he just played a good opening. Bingo guessed a lot in the middle game, but it paid off for him and it allowed the game to last this long. Just I was just able to collect too many smaller pieces, and his memory just fell apart. He If he hadn't made the memory errors towards the end of the game, he was. I don't think he was going to win. Like I don't think he was ever particularly close to winning this game. Like I was stressed out while I was playing it, but in retrospect, there was no moment that I feel he was doing really well. My marshal hadn't moved. It was I was up so many small pieces. His flag was in an awkward spot. I had perfectly memorized where his majors were. So I think things were always going all right for me. But he could have. I mean, when I won the game, I had 9 movable pieces left in the board. Like he would have really eaten into that had he not made the memory errors late. But yeah, I mean, this game lasted an hour, so there's I mean, you really can't fault him for making those mistakes. It's really, really difficult to play well throughout an entire hour-long game. So anyway, on that note, thanks to you all for watching. I'm looking forward to the tournament on Saturday. I'd like to post all the games to YouTube if my opponents give permission. Um, yeah, and thanks to you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.